Today, I'm going to break The Sims 4 and glitch the game into summoning money out of thin air, using just this cat and the brutal reality of property rental. The Sims 4 was of course released almost 10 years ago. It's had hundreds of updates, DLCs and patches, but you can guarantee that a dastardly British villain like myself will easily be able to see if this is a perfectly balanced game with no exploits, or perhaps if the developers have some explaining to do. Let's dive into the game and find out. Today we're going to be playing as this wonderful, enigmatic hero, Lucy Landgrab. We're going to be transforming this lovely elder lady into becoming the world's greatest Monopoly mogul. In fact, can we give her a hat? Ah yes, splendid, she looks far better now. But we're missing one more piece of this puzzle. We need a pet cat. And of course, Lucy Landgrab loves cats, so that's why she is going to have her pet cat today, Lord Fluffykins. Lord Fluffykins is definitely 100% a cat. It clearly states here that he is a cat. I will be taking no further questions at this time. Right, let's go into the game. It's the Landgrab family. Goodness, what a wonderful picture. Let's save that. Welcome into the world, ladies and gentlemen. Today we've arrived in this nice new city that I've never joined before, but would probably cost you 2 kidneys to buy in terms of DLC prices. It seems like a very fun spot. However, we are here today to make money. Unfortunately, we only start with 22,000 simoleons, but if we want to become the greatest property owner in the land, we're going to need more money than that. Now, I'm sure there's many of you watching being like, well, Spiff, just cheat in money. Open up the console. Type in the word motherload. You know you can do it. And of course I can. There's just one issue. When you cheat in The Sims 4 in a way that doesn't use unintended gameplay mechanics, you suddenly can't get achievements anymore. What's the point of playing video games if I can't show off my achievements? Trust me, I'm sure someone out there cares. It can't just be me. So yes, we're immediately going to pull off a very cheeky financial maneuver, and it's going to be facilitated by this new DLC's brand new mechanics. Step 1, we're going to actually move into a rental accommodation into the 08 Tacker's Soil 15 little flat here. It's a pretty poorly rated 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom flat. It costs us 65 simoleons a day, so it's relatively affordable, but not exactly a nice livable environment. But it's cheap, and honestly that's all that matters. Most importantly, we want to select that this house is unfurnished when we move in. This lets us keep all 22,000 of our money, which we're going to be needing if we're going to buy ourselves a house. So here we are, we've just arrived in a brand new property. It's wonderful. I'm pretty sure this woman here, Vanessa, is technically our landlord. I'm sure she loves our pet cat, Lord Fluffykins. I mean, who doesn't? He's doing fine and he's looking fine. But yes, Lucy immediately wants to get onto the property ladder, and that means we need to do one thing. We need to open up our own business lists. We don't own any businesses, but we can buy a residential property. This is what we're manifesting. Lucy has closed her eyes to manifest a residential property into the world. Oh, focus, woman, yes! And we just push a button and it opens up here. Now, of course, we can technically buy properties from all over The Sims 4, but that would require you to buy hundreds of pounds more of DLC. And my accountant says I'm not allowed to do that for another financial quarter. So we're going to stick to the one town that we're currently in. And this is going to allow us to purchase this property here, the Chiwa Canto property. I'm sure that's how it's pronounced. I'm British, don't judge me. Anyway, it only costs $18,900 to buy, and it comes with fast internet and mold. Oh, I love mold. But yes, we're able to purchase this for a decent amount of money, and after purchasing it, this is going to leave us with $3,100 remaining. Not exactly the best, but hey, we have ourselves a property, and as you can see, we've set it to be a residential rental property. We can then zone out the actual unit and work out its value, and there we go, it's relatively complete. I'm just going to be making one minor alteration to my rental property, and that is to display a very large quantity of mailboxes. Trust me, this is all completely fine and very normal and above board. Splendid. Right, and with that complete, we can now return to the world and see our glorious property is here. That's right, the unit is ready. Yes, there we go, well bam, I've worked it out. It is Scam House 1, lovely. And with this, we can now actually set our own rent. Now this is our basic rental menu. We can set the length of our lease, we can set how much money we want to charge per day, and based off of how high quality the actual property is, we're able to charge higher amounts of money. Because this is a relatively mid property, we're able to charge at maximum 396 simoleons per day. That's okay, but it's not the best. However, we're able to make money via some alternative means, in the form of unit rules. Basically, any tenant in our property who breaks these rules must either pay a fine or risk being justifiably evicted. The cost of these fines is $1,000, which is quite steep indeed. But as everyone knows, if you have ghosts in your property or you make loud noises, you're going to be fined £1,000 or yeeted out onto the streets. Trust me, this is definitely a thing in the UK. We do this all of the time. But yes, this is our lovely property. It is relatively basic and currently unoccupied. We can fill this vacancy by inviting people to come along and live in here, but ultimately it's not necessarily going to be the best. We have to spend $50 per day maintaining it, so we'd have to be charging someone at least $150 per day just so that I could make $100. That's not going to pay off this property at all. It's been costing me $18,000. So we need to think a little bit outside the box, and that's where cheesing game mechanics come into the mixture, because what we're going to very specifically do is activate the rule to ban pets. The fine for this is 1,000 simoleons. If you have a pet in a property that doesn't allow pets, you're getting fined. It's as simple as that. And once that's complete, we can now cheese the game. We are going to head over into the Manage Worlds option. Whilst we're out in this world, we're going to go to this lovely area and see that yes, our sim is currently living over here. They are the Landgrab household. However, what we can do is select this property here of Scam House, see that it's a pretty mediocre place, and we can actually move people in. You see, what we're able to do is select the lovely Landgrab family here, aren't they just beautiful, and select Move Household into a lot. Then we can just move our lovely landlord into their very own property. This is highly suspicious indeed, of course, because by moving them into this property, our landlord has now become our tenant. Very suspicious indeed. But who am I to judge? Because now I will play as my lovely landlord tenant. As far as the game is aware, we are ever so slightly bugged out, because we are simultaneously the property owner and the person renting this. However, you'll remember earlier that I set one specific rule, that there are no pets to be allowed in this property. Unfortunately, Mr. Fluffykins is a cat, and that means he is a pet, and that is highly illegal in this property. So what I'm able to have Lucy do is to go up to this property and deliver a fine for having a pet in it. That's right, it's a fine for £1,000. Very intense indeed. But I don't just have to deliver it to the door. This is why I built these letterboxes, for I'm able to deliver the fine for not allowing pets into each and every one of these letterboxes. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Every time I do this, the game is actually going to do a check. There is effectively a off-screen roll of the dice happening where the tenant can either agree to pay the fine or choose to ignore it. Now, because we are the tenant and the property owner, something very interesting actually happens. You see, when we send off these letters here to tell our tenant, which is of course myself, that no pets are allowed in the property, the letter is delivered to me, which is a very curious thing indeed. Anyway, all of those fines have been posted, and we can do one instantly by delivering it straight to the door. But here we go. In the top right, we can see that there has been a tenant rule violation, and that my attempt to gain compensation for the no pets rule break has failed, and the unit rating has fallen as a result. This is very sad, but this is one of the potential outcomes, you see. For what has happened is Lucy has written a letter to herself saying, "Hey Lucy, I own the property, and I spoke to you about not having a pet, and Fluffykins is clearly a pet." Lucy then speaks to herself again and says, "Very well, there is a fine, I will not pay the fine," and that makes Lucy upset. Genuinely, she is sad that she herself has not paid the fine that she gave herself. It's very complicated, but trust me, the logic works out. The issue, however, is that we can repeat this process, and eventually Lucy will come to her senses. Yes, it has just happened. Lucy has, of course, broken the pets rule and decided to pay the fine. If we remember correctly, Lucy is the tenant and the owner. So, as the tenant, she pays the fine of 1,000 simoleons to the owner. The only issue is, the game doesn't actually do that. Because the developers of the game don't want you bankrupting other families by actually taking money from them, it instead materializes the money out of thin air. This means that Lucy Landgrab is able to summon $1,000 out of thin air. She only had 10,000 when we started, but now she's up to 11 grand. And you can probably see where this is going to go. Highly suspicious indeed. And there we go. It's happened again, and another time. We are now up to 13,000. Very interesting indeed. Very interesting. But yes, without cheating, we've somehow managed to materialize 3,000 simoleons out of thin air just by telling myself that I've broken my own rule. Now come on in, Fluffykins. Let's break even more of them. You see, by having Fluffykins effectively enter and leave the house, it should reset this whole time conundrum. But as a sad individual, I need to give Fluffykins some praise, as that's going to make me far happier. Hello, Fluffykins. I think you're the greatest cat in the world, / unicorn, of course. Simply the best. Good little Fluffykins. Good Fluffykins. And welcome welcome wagoners here, led by Vanessa. She's come over as our neighbor to welcome us to the area. Unfortunately, we don't really need to worry about this, as I found a brand new way to make money. You see, sure, I could fine myself for having a dog in my own property and just generate money out of thin air that way, or alternatively, I can do something even more silly, which is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to cancel the welcome wagon event. I do not want that at all. Unfortunately, that has made Vanessa quite upset. Not my fault she decided to waste a day and come and hang out with me. And what we're going to do is go and manage our worlds. Now, in this area, we're going to move our lovely Lucy Landgrab into a new property. That's right, we'll move back across the street into the rental accommodation we were staying at. Nice and cheap indeed, so in we go. Interestingly, you'll notice that our funds have suddenly increased and we're up to 23,000 simoleons. That's quite curious indeed, because where's the money come from? I can now play as my lovely landlord and load on into the game. And there we go. After leaving that lovely environment, we are going to make sure that we set up our lovely tenancy again, sign the rule to ban pets, of course, and then move myself into my own property once more. Then we simply load on in and wha-bam! Oh, look, it's me! I've arrived. Wonderful. Oh, and oh dear, I've just got a message. A tenant rule violation has occurred. There's an animal in this property. Oh dear, what a shame. Well, logically, we're going to have to do what we do best, and that is, of course, issue a fine for breaking the rules. How could they? All right, let's keep posting those fines for 1,000 simoleons. All right, and then we'll also deliver a fine. Fantastic. Ah, there we go. Okay, and then there was a rule break failed. One succeeded there. Lovely. And so we get an extra 1,000. Although, interestingly, there is no longer any furniture in this property. Not too sure what happened there. Apparently, it hasn't changed the fact that I can sell this property for 16,000. And part of me feels that maybe I should. Yes, if I sell this property for 16,000, I'm going to be moving up in the world. So yes, I'm going to sell this residential property, and that should increase my wealth up to quite a nice level indeed. Awkwardly, this has caused an issue, as we've sold the property, but we can now select ourselves to play in the property again as a landlord, but I no longer own the property. Who owns this house? What is this house? Why do I have 38,000? Do I own the property? Yes, I own the property. Game, hang on a second. The timelines are very confused right now. Oh dear. Right, can I buy a residential property? Okay, I think I can buy my own property for 14,000. Right, let me do that, because that'll be funny. I'll buy it furnished, and that'll leave me with 24,000. That's still more money than when I started with. Okay, so I now own this property, and then I can sell it for 16,000. Okay, I guess I'll sell the property for 16,000. Very interesting. And then if I go back in and I select to play in this property again, what the hell? Oh my goodness, what is going on? Right, I'm up to 41,000 now, but I, of course, still have this property. Let me buy a residential rental, and I'm going to select the property that I'm, of course, standing in. There we go. We'll purchase this. Wonderful. We'll purchase it for furnished. And now we're at 27,000. Look at that, 27,000 in our inventory. And then, of course, we will sell it for 16,000. Very simple. We then go back in, select to play as ourselves. This is quite the curious debacle indeed. Very exciting. I wonder if, as I own this property, I'm able to set it to actually be a residential let. Yes, I can. I guess I need to actually place a toilet and a bedroom, so let me quickly do that. And then I just need to decorate the place. So I'm going to place a lot of these lovely Bob the Plants. Bob the Plant only costs $25, and I'm going to presume that Bob the Plant drastically increases the quality of an environment. Right, anyway, that was a glorious success. I've placed down a bunch of nonsense. Can I buy this as a residential let? Yes, I can. For 14,000. Okay. Apparently we're up to now being a 4-star residential let. I'm quite interested by this, but yes, I'll purchase my own property once again. This leaves me with 28,000 simoleons, of course, and then I can sell for 16,000 once more. And ladies and gentlemen, I get the feeling this could be an infinite money loop, perchance. Oh dear. I don't know who I'm selling this property to and buying it from. I imagine because the game is classing me as both a landlord and a tenant, I'm effectively selling it to myself and once again printing money out of thin air. The game is just handing it to me. But anyway, I'm going to repeat this process for a little while until I've generated, a nice few 100,000 simoleons. And then I'm going to set about creating the ultimate rental accommodation. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have moved over to the next day, and I've generated a relatively nice 638,000 simoleons. Although it's actually slightly more than that, because I'm about to sell my property again for 16,000. Anyway, I'm going to actually buy a new property. That's right, I can do it. The Landgrab family is moving with their $650,000. Realistically, we could buy whatever we want. We've got so much money. However, I'm gonna buy this nice big open plot of land. Away we go. Right, it is now time for us to design the ultimate perfect property. Look how focused we are. We have our trusty cat unicorn by our side, a giant empty plot of land, and a huge amount of money to do nonsense with. So that's exactly what we're about to do. Now, as everyone knows, the most important thing we can do is to have a lot of space for as many people as possible. The more beds we have access to, the more money we can make. So I will start by constructing a large holding facility, like so. This, however, won't be enough. We need a second floor, like so. But the second floor also won't be enough. We're going to probably need a third floor. Huzzah, fantastic. We must get bigger and bigger and bigger. Another floor. I've done it. I've constructed it. A monstrosity, but I've constructed it. Sometimes I regret my actions in video games, and other times I think I've just created art. This is the containment facility. Inside the containment facility is everything you would need to live a fulfilled life. All you must do is climb up the stairs to your new home, and you can either be sorted into these rooms, which contain all of the necessities. And by necessities, I mean a bunk bed, a folding metal chair, and a very sandy floor, because as everyone knows, there's nothing more comfortable than having sand stuck to you permanently and infiltrating everything in your life. I love sand. But of course, if you're of the more premium and higher paying rental standard, then we have these rooms over here for you. And alternatively, perhaps you want to go to the toilet. Well, that's okay, because in this potted cat room, which does look a little bit terrifying, you can either go to the toilet in what I like to call PvP mode, where you have to face off against someone else, or in a more relaxed PvE experience. And if you go up the next level, we have two very basic offices and the kitchen for this entire complex. And at the top we have the offices, because if you're going to live here, you're going to have to pay rent. That means you've got to have a little office. I mean, yes, it is just a cubicle and it will drive you insane, but that's not my problem. You're the one paying tax, not me. So yes, Lucy Landgrab has been very lucky indeed. So we have 21 bedrooms and 8 bathrooms, but I guess the highest I'm allowed to go is 9. Well, that's completely fine. Let's just zone all of that out. Completely fine. I'm sure it'll fix it, definitely. So bam, that's the property complete. We did it. Amazing. We can actually sell this property for 75 grand, or more importantly, actually move out of this property and attempt to sublet it. So of course, the most important step for us to do is to manage this world and move Lucy Landgrab to a different property. So naturally, we're just going to move her back to our first rental accommodation, because apparently we still own it, so we can do that. Now that I'm here, I'm able to set up the agreement for my brand new Giga rental property. Rent per day, we can charge 5,460 rent per day. Lease length 7 days. Can I go higher than that? Yeah, let's go 799 days. And let's just ban everything. Blended. Right now, obviously, we want someone to live in our wonderful giant property. So I'm going to lower the rent and invite the lovely Crags here. I suppose I can charge them 3,525. Let's do that. Splendid money. I will charge them a fair amount and invite them on over. There we go. Let's go travel to that unit and go see our brand new loving customers and see if they enjoy their house. I mean, I designed it for them. Here they are. It's Mika Cragg and Jesse Cragg. You guys are paying $3,500 per day to live in this property, and my oh my, is it premium. Look at all of this space you have that you can do nothing with. I mean, it's definitely a construction. Someone built it and now it's yours. Okay, well, it's not yours. It's actually mine, and you have to keep paying me for it. So that way I can make the money from it. But yes, as I'm their landlord, I can ask about their rental conditions. This is very important indeed. It allows us to snoop on their situation. But apparently Jesse is very angry. Okay, geez, that's pretty crazy. I guess I asked about rental conditions and they got a little bit grumpy. I mean, look, it's not my fault. You guys moved into this property. I just built the nightmare. You get to live in it. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I think I've completed this brand new DLC update. Today, I feel like we've discovered a lot. Namely, that you just need one giant vertical box to charge astronomical quantities of rent from people. All I've managed to do is somehow summon money from thin air by tricking the game into just spawning it for me, by manipulating it into believing that I'm simultaneously my own landlord and tenant. In the process, I've tricked 2 elderly people into becoming my actual tenant, and they're willing to pay me $3,525 per day, and they agreed to sign a 799-day-long lease. This means that they have committed to paying paying me 2.8 million simoleons to live in what I can only describe as the worst accommodation I have ever seen. I think it's safe to say, ladies and gentlemen, The Sims 4 is a perfectly balanced game with absolutely no exploits. As always, thank you very much for watching. Make sure to give the video a like, and if you'd like to see more Sims-based shenanigans or you have other video games you'd like to break, let me know in the comment section. A huge thank you to our patrons and channel members, and I'll see each and every one of you lovely, majestic sausages in the next one.